My name is Rebecca Miller, and until last summer, I never thought a simple afternoon in the kitchen could change my perspective on myself, my community, and the quiet impact we have on others. I'm 42, widowed for several years now, and living in a peaceful suburban neighborhood in Colorado. Life had become a predictable pattern: wake up, work from home, cook dinner alone, go to sleep alone, repeat. I didn't resent it, but I certainly didn't feel inspired by it. I guess loss has a strange way of shrinking your world until even the brightest days feel muted. The story begins on a warm June afternoon, the kind where sunlight brightens every corner of the house. I had decided to host a small neighborhood potluck. Nothing extravagant, just an excuse to bring people together and feel a little less isolated. I planned to prepare my late husband Daniel's favorite dish, a hearty chicken and vegetable stew that used to simmer all day and fill the house with warmth. As I chopped onions, the knife slipping slightly from my tired grip, I heard a light knock on the back door. I wiped my hands on a towel and opened it to see Ethan Carter, the 14-year-old boy from across the street. He lived with his mother, Jenna, a nurse who worked long hours, and whom I admired deeply. "Hi, Miss Miller," he said with a small wave. "My mom asked me to drop off the folding chairs you requested." I smiled and stepped aside. "Thank you, Ethan, just put them by the table." He did, but as he turned to leave, he paused. Miss Miller, do you need help with anything else?" His question surprised me. Teenagers usually avoided chores like the plague, and I didn't want to inconvenience him. "I don't want to keep you," I said gently. He shrugged. "I'm not busy. Mom's on a double shift." I figured, I dunno. I could help. There was a sincerity in his voice that struck me. I nodded toward the counter. "Well, if you don't mind chopping carrots, I wouldn't say no." He grinned faintly. "Sure," and that moment, an ordinary one, was the beginning of something that neither of us realized would matter so much. Ethan stepped into the kitchen, washed his hands carefully, and picked up a cutting board. He wasn't much of a talker at first. We worked in comfortable silence, the rhythmic slicing of vegetables filling the air. I stole glances at him from time to time. His expression was calm but focused, like someone used to working quietly, perhaps even used to being alone. After a while, I said, "You're pretty good with a knife. Your mom teach you?" He shook his head. "No, I just watch cooking videos when I'm bored." I laughed softly. "That's a good hobby." His shoulders loosened a bit, and he smiled. "I like cooking. It's, I dunno, less noisy than everything else." Something in those words struck my heart. I sensed that behind them was a life full of responsibilities most kids his age didn't carry. We worked side by side for nearly an hour, preparing the stew, washing dishes, setting up trays, and planning where all the dishes would go. As we moved around the kitchen, I couldn't help but notice how polite, patient, and eager he was to be helpful. It reminded me of my husband in an odd way, someone who found comfort in quiet tasks. As the stew simmered, the fragrant scent filled the kitchen. Ethan inhaled deeply. "Wow, this smells amazing." "It was Daniel's favorite," I said without thinking. He looked up gently. "Your husband?" I nodded. "He passed about 5 years ago." Ethan didn't respond right away. His eyes softened. "I'm sorry." "Thank you," I whispered. "It's easier now, but cooking his favorite dishes helps me remember the good parts." He smiled softly. "Maybe you can teach me how to make it. I bet my mom would love it." I hadn't taught anyone that recipe in years. The thought warmed my heart. I'd be honored. We continued prepping for the potluck, and at one point, Ethan accidentally spilled a bag of flour all over himself. I expected embarrassment, maybe frustration, but instead he burst into laughter, a loud, genuine sound that filled the room and made me join in. Flour dusted his hair, shirt, and even eyelashes. Okay, stand still," I said, picking up a towel and brushing some flour away. He froze suddenly, and I pulled back quickly, realizing he wasn't used to attention, not even simple, harmless gestures like someone helping clean up a mess. I felt a pang of sympathy. "Sorry," I said gently. "Didn't mean to startle you." He shook his head quickly. "No, it's okay. I just wasn't expecting it." We both laughed again, and the moment passed naturally. By the time neighbors started arriving, the house was spotless and warm, and everything smelled delicious. Everyone praised the stew, the atmosphere, the setup, none of which would have come together as beautifully without Ethan. When Jenna dropped by after her shift, exhausted but grateful, she hugged her son. "Thank you for helping," she said. "Miss Miller, he talks about your cooking sometimes. I'm glad he could learn from you." And as the evening unfolded, With laughter, shared stories, and plates full of food, I realized how much lighter my heart felt. Ethan was talking with other neighbors, smiling more than I had ever seen the quiet boy smile. After everyone left, he returned to help me clean up without being asked. "Miss Miller," he said as he wiped down the table, "today was really nice." "It was," I agreed. He looked around, taking in the warmth still lingering in the air. "Do you think I could come by again sometime? You know, to cook. Maybe learn some more recipes." His voice held hope. Not desperation, not neediness, just genuine desire for connection, mentorship, and a place where he felt comfortable. My chest tightened with emotion, but I kept my smile steady. "Of course, Ethan, you're welcome anytime," and so it became a weekly tradition. Every Thursday after school, he would show up at my door, sometimes with groceries, other times with questions, sometimes just with a smile. We cooked everything from lasagna to chili to his new personal favorite, blueberry muffins. I taught him tricks I hadn't shared with anyone in years: how to test pasta doneness by tossing it on the wall, how to season food with instinct, how to trust the smell of something more than the timer. And he taught me just as much. He shared stories about school, about his mom's long shifts, about how lonely he sometimes felt even when surrounded by people. His honesty was fragile and pure. I listened, not as a parent, not as an authority figure, but as someone who genuinely cared. Over time, his confidence grew. He spoke louder, laughed more, stood taller. His teachers told Jenna he had become more engaged. His mother told me he had started cooking dinner once a week, proudly presenting dishes he learned in my kitchen. One Thursday afternoon, months into our routine, he knocked on my door with an apron in hand, his own. "I figured it was time," he said, grinning. "Every good cook needs one." I couldn't help tearing up as I tied it behind him. "You look official now." But the moment that changed everything happened on a snowy December evening. We were preparing a batch of holiday cookies when he paused mid-stir and said, "Miss Miller, I know you miss your husband. I don't know what it feels like, but I'm glad you let me help in the kitchen that day. I think it helped both of us." I looked at him, this young boy who had grown so much, who had brought warmth and life back into my quiet home, who had unknowingly helped heal wounds I didn't realize were still open. "Ethan," I said softly, "you helped me far more than you know." We finished the cookies quietly, but the silence wasn't empty, it was full of understanding, gratitude, and something deeply human, the reminder that connection, in its purest form, doesn't require grand gestures. Sometimes all it takes is a teenager offering to help chop carrots on a summer afternoon. Today, as I tell this story, Ethan is 15, doing well in school, and still cooking with me every Thursday. His mother joins us sometimes, and we laugh together like a little community within a community. He's grown into a confident young man, and I know he'll make an incredible adult someday. But no matter where life takes him, I'll always remember the day he asked, "Do you need help with anything else?" Because the truth is, he helped more than he will ever understand. And in a kitchen filled with flour dust, warm stew, and the soft glow of a summer sunset, two people, one middle-aged and grieving, one young and searching, found healing in the simplest, safest, most human way possible. Through cooking, through kindness, through showing up, and that, truly, changed us both.